Hello everybody, welcome back to Life Stories. My name is Trent, and I hope you're all doing awesome as always. Today, we got more stories coming from Reddit/entitledparents, so hopefully we got some good ones. Sit down, buckle up, grab some loved ones, some snacks. No snacks for me, but I do got my water. Anyway, let's get started. Our first story is titled, The Corona Karens. On my phone, so sorry for the formatting. So, it's me again from Animal Control. Back with more tales of insanity, now fueled by a pandemic, which adds an extra layer of entitlement to these people. I haven't had a chance to post recently because I've been dealing with the lockdown, being essential personnel, and dealing with crazies. So currently, our facility is closed to the public until further notice. I'm still here, however, because dogs and cats and horses and donkeys and more still need to eat and get their meds. Despite there being a worldwide pandemic going on, people still act like we should just be open for them to dump animals on, which we've also stopped taking animals in due to concerns of the virus being on their fur. So let me go over some highlights, as I've had too many psychos to devote just to one story, and can't really take the time to write out a story for each one. Story 1. Karen pulls her SUV up to our closed and locked gate with multiple signs on it saying we're closed until further notice due to COVID-19. Karen proceeds to lay on the horn and scream out of her window. I stop what I'm doing to go see what the hell her problem is, and Karen starts screaming and cussing at me about stray cats in her neighborhood. I tell her we're not taking any animals in, and even if we were, cats can roam freely in this state, so no one will come out for stray cats. I tell her she can trap them on her property and bring them into us when we reopen after the pandemic ends. And she loses her mind that I should dare imply she handle her own freaking problem. I tell her that's her only option, as every shelter in the state is closed, and turn to walk away. Karen then proceeds to put her car in drive and tries to push the front end of her car against the lock chain link fence of our gate in an attempt to force the gate open. When I threaten to call the cops, Karen screams more random insults, demands we come round up all the stray cats. And when I tell her once again, no, she throws a McDonald's cup full of what I assume to be tea at our gate and sped off. Story number 2. It was later in the evening one night. I was just finishing up feeding the horses, and I come out of their pen to see a woman on the opposite side of one of our gates, trying to lower a dog over our gate in an attempt to abandon it. She was lowering it by the leash around the dog's neck, while she was holding the other end of the leash, essentially hanging the dog with its leash. I drop everything and run to the fence, catch the dog, and take photos of her license plate as she rushed to speed away. I called the cops and gave them the plate numbers. I bathed the dog in something of an attempt to disinfect anything on its fur, but by that time, I had already touched the dog and had it in my arms. I fed the little guy and set him up with a bed, blanket, and toys. He's a chunky little blue-nosed pit who's nervous around new people, but quickly warms up to you with treats and pets. Still waiting to hear back from the cops on that psycho lady. Story number 3. Had a Karen, who I thought was a Kevin at first, pull up to our gate while I was discussing some things over with one of our fosters on the other side of the gate. Karen gets out and interrupts us by screaming that she demands we take her cat. I tell her we aren't taking animals in because of the outbreak. She screams, "What freaking outbreak?" The foster and I just stare at Karen, and I point to the sign on our gate that says COVID-19 on it. Karen doesn't like being made to look dumb, and proceeds to scream, "F you, a-hole, I'm not stupid, you're taking this freaking cat." I once again tell her no, and then ignore her, as she throws a literal tantrum, and I finish talking to the foster. I then turn my back on Karen and walk into the main office building, where my desk phone is now being blown up with Karen sitting at the gate, calling and leaving voicemails of herself screaming obscenities for not getting her way. I get my lunch out. I had packed popcorn that day, and sat and laughed at her rage-fueled tantrums on my voicemail. Story number 4. Had a guy pull up to the gate and lay on the horn. I come out of the back of the building and go see what he wants. He gets out of his car, and the dude looks like if meth was a person. His teenage son gets out on the other side, and neither have shoes on. Meth Dad proceeds to slur through an explanation of his dog being missing. He wants to come in and look around. His teenage son isn't saying anything, just standing off to the side. At this point, I was by myself and wasn't letting this guy in, even if we weren't under lockdown. I asked for a picture of the dog. He doesn't have one. I asked for a date or time the dog went missing. He doesn't know. I ask what the dog even looked like. He says it's brown and tries pushing my chained locked gate once again, demanding to come inside. I tell him we haven't had any new dogs come in, and as I say this, I see the teenage son off to the side, death staring at me. I worked in law enforcement before this, and I know the massive red flags when I see them. We have very limited staff, and lots of medical supplies, drugs, and other things a junkie would love to steal. Meth dad starts shaking the gate, repeating, "Let me in, mother effer." Teenage son comes up to the gate and tries climbing over. I step back with my right foot and put my hand on my radio on my hip in a mock motion of reaching for my sidearm and tell them to get back in the car and leave. I guess they weren't paying attention to what was actually on my hip, because they froze, slowly backed up, and got back into their car while giving me these hate-filled death stares. Because of that day, I now carry my real sidearm when working alone. These are just a couple of the many crazies I've gotten since we've gone into lockdown. We get insane and entitled people before we're locked down, but now that they're insane, entitled, and inconvenienced, the crap show is cranked up to 11. Thanks for reading, and stay safe out there. No, thank you, OP. We talk about essential service workers a lot, to tend to people. There's a lot of people that needed to be tended to, be it in, health sectors or grocery stores and whatnot. But really, this guy's job, taking care of the doggos and the kitties, kind of important. Moving along, our next story is titled, EPs Get Offended at Sam's Club. I swear, this pandemic is just awakening all the Karens and Chads. I think I've ran into more entitled folks, including parents, now than ever before. Today was a fun interaction. For context, I'm still working. I currently work with my mother in agriculture, which is considered essential. We've been remodeling an office due to damage. We also travel and pick up industrial parts to repair machines with. So today, this lovely day, our coffee maker shorts out. We need a new coffee maker. So we get the card from our boss and head out to Sam's Club to replace the coffee maker. We get there and there's a line. Crap. They're at capacity. We get in the long line. For further context, well before the pandemic, I would always stand in lines sideways with my shoulders facing the person in front and the person behind. This is because I startle easily and I'm not okay with people directly behind me where I can't see them. Also helps keep people behind you from standing too close. Anyways, after a few minutes of standing, a family comes up behind us. The family consists of ED, EM, and 4 kids. The kids are all between the ages of 2 and 6. Of course, I see them, but choose to ignore them and continue talking with my mom. They start their BS by trying to cut in line. Every time they tried, I would either swing my leg out at them or start stepping in their way. After 5 minutes, they stop, but it doesn't end there. I mostly ignore them again, still talking with my mom. Both of us were generally grumbly, not due to the line, but mostly due to general work frustrations. First a leaky sink, now a coffee maker that decided to blow up. Here's the thing though, we both have mouths that can make a sailor blush. We are vulgar, and we don't hold back. Although we don't talk extensively loud, the only people that would even hear us is folks that are under 6 feet away from us, which this family keeps teetering in and out from. So I was talking about how I was freaking frustrated with a piece of crap sink, and how the coffee maker blowing up just really shows how much the world is specifically trying to mess us up. Before my mom can even let out a chuckle, the ED said something to the effect of, "Did your mom never spank you for using that language?" I don't remember exactly, but I know a mother was brought up because my mom immediately whipped back saying, "They're an adult." I fully looked over to the family and see the ED holding a sleeping toddler, and the EM actually covering one child's ears, while the others covered their own. I just kind of look and snort. I thought it was dramatic. ED apparently didn't like that. He asked me if I thought it was funny to be corrupting other people's kids. My mom didn't say anything, but kept an eye out to ensure they didn't try anything. I was already a bit grumpy, so I was a bit bolder than usual. So I just flatly told them, yes, because you wouldn't even be able to hear what I was saying if you actually stayed 6 feet away from me. EM spoke up this time. She said something about not being sick and her babies getting hot. It was 60 degrees, lady. Summer's getting in the 90s. I told them that I could be sick, and that them being up my behind and policing how I speak isn't going to get them into the store any faster. My mom, being, well, mom, chimes in, saying that if it starts raining, F that. ED replies with an "oh my god," and asks if we have any respect for people. Mom says, hell no, respect is earned. You can't even respect our dang space. We were a lot closer to the entrance then, but I guess shopping with disrespectful, vulgar people wasn't worth it to them, as they ended up just leaving altogether. Bit of a blessing, but also a bummer. Would have liked to see how a talk with the manager would have went. Hey, I mean, everyone handles things differently, even though I am not a proponent of swearing in public in front of children. If someone does, just don't make a scene about it. It's not a huge deal. Granted, I don't have kids, so I might be biased. And I don't think I really want kids. Heck, I can barely remember if I fed myself this morning. Anyways, with that out of the way, it's all the time we have for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so much for once again tuning in to Life Stories. My name is Trent. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Reddit content coming your way, and I hope to see you guys soon.